We will not bow down or succumb to his tyrant rage.
Is this your king? Is this your king? I'm telling you.
He is one of the biggest threats to humanity that we've seen in an entire generation. We are justified in our resistance to his authoritarianism.
For the president to say, well, we can take over your city whenever we want, and I'm the commander-in-chief, and I can use the troops whenever we want, I think that that is an abuse of our troops, and I think it's an overreach of presidential powers.
In my city, in Baltimore, we have the fewest amount of homicides through this date on record. That's 50 years, a 50-year low. The president could learn a lot from us instead of throwing things at us.
I'm not part of the group that says we don't want to work in coordination with the federal government, but we don't need anyone to come in and take over our law enforcement apparatus. We have the finest police department on the globe. If the White House wants to help us in what we're doing to continue our success, and if we can help other cities, municipalities, they may want to ask us to come in and help other cities. We're willing to go into other cities and help them as well.
We will not bow down.
Incoming rant on steroids in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rant engaged. You know the problem with a dope fiend and an alcoholic? They always think they're fine. They never think they need help. No matter how many times you come up to them and tell them they have a problem, their response is almost always, I'm fine. You saw unilaterally, all of these are Democrats in sanctuary cities. You, as the citizen, they want you to believe after giving this hot take speech that everything is fine. They want you to believe you're not experiencing what you're experiencing. It's all an illusion. It's in your head. It's not that bad. They drop crime stats to tell you crime is actually going down. They said every year, but yet you keep seeing egregious crime taking place, and it's no longer happening just in the urban neighborhoods. It has migrated to the suburban neighborhoods now. Yes, the time where it was known for the white snow bunny to come into the city and get their drugs and then run back to Never Never Land, that day is over. The same ghettos that you see experiencing this high level of crime, you see out in the suburbs, because a lot of them have migrated out there. Chicago is down the street from me. I'm from Chicago, especially Mayor Johnson. 6% approval rating. You have to work diligently hard to get a 6% approval rating. That's like getting an F+. You have to put in effort to get that failure across the line. And this man wants to tell you everything is fine. And he keeps communicating with the Clinton thumb. The Clinton thumb to make himself seem more assertive. There's a reason why this time around, the black delegation is not behind you. Yeah, because when the illegal immigration happened, you dumped them into the neighborhoods of black and brown people first. Yes, you did. Yes, some of the white neighborhoods got it as well, but it was definitely in the black neighborhoods. And you thought black people was going to sit and be quiet and be silent? And now that Trump actually has the nerve to do something, you're pissed about it. Because you know for a fact, all these states in this video, all the mayors that preside over the cities in these respective hot takes, all sanctuary cities. They done gerrymandered the death out of each respective city and state. So it's very rich after you have dumped all these illegal immigrants in these respective cities, and then you turn around and you want to hike the property tax and make the citizens foot the bill, and you think they're not going to be pissed. So yeah, when Trump issues in the troops into places like DC, a lot of people, they won't probably say it out loud out of fear of backlash, but more than likely, it is safe to say they are on board with what Trump is doing, because they're at the point where they just want the result now. Go ahead, send the military in, get these criminals out of here. People are tired of walking down the street and being busted upside the head with a beer bottle. Or some young punk that's never worked hard a day in his life comes and takes what they've worked hard and taken 30 to 40 years to earn. Yeah. So they're saying, yeah, go ahead, Trump, send the troops in, send them into DC. And it's very shocking to reveal, because I read somewhere that there's a 71% disapproval rating amongst DC citizens and politicians that Trump should not send in troops to take over as the legal government entity in that respective city and state. Shocking. Another sanctuary city that is a Democrat stronghold has a 71% disapproval of what Trump is doing with the military because the crime is so rampant in Washington, D.C. And this young boy that worked at Doge is not because he's white. People are at the point where they're just pissed off about the crime, period. They just want it gone. It's tiring. It's exhausting. And now we get Mayor Johnson and Karen Bass, the people that don't have the nerve to do anything. And now that Trump has the nerve to do something, they're pissed. Because people are tired of you blowing hot air. They're tired of you just sitting idly by and doing nothing. They're tired of the hot takes. They're tired of you communicating with the freaking Clinton thumb. They're sick of that. They've seen that play. They know the minute you do this Clinton thumb, they know you rehearse that. They know it's not genuine. They know it's a PR person that taught you to do that. People, I'm sorry, I'm a millennial, but we have this asinine, insane level of arrogance, of self-righteousness, of what we think how things should and shouldn't be. Illinois is a take-all state. If you look at the map of Illinois, in this past election, almost 80% of the state was red. Kamala did not win the state by more than 14 points. Most Democratic nominees that run for president always take Illinois by 16 points or better. Do you know why every election Illinois is immediately shaded in as blue without even question? It's because, as I stated, it's a winner-take-all state. And number two, Democrats have gerrymandered the death out of Illinois, particularly Chicago. Chicago is the financial stronghold, so they get more sway over what happens in the city. I don't know if many of you know how sanctuary cities actually work. In Chicago, if my memory serves me correctly, Mayor Harold Washington instituted sanctuary city status in Chicago. However, Chicago just decided never to remove the status. And when they saw that it could be used as a gerrymandering benefit to allow illegals to come here, in the consensus, illegals are counted in the consensus, which also controls how many delegate seats a certain particular state gets. California has way more delegate seats than it should have due to the fact of illegal immigration being counted in their consensus. Same thing with Illinois. Yep. The reason why I'm honing in on Brandon Johnson is because I have a soft spot for Chicago. There's a reason why people dislike this man more than Lori Lightfoot. Both of them are establishment by far. But the thing was with Brandon, people in Chicago got a rude wake-up call. They thought he was going to be a breath of fresh air. And they found out he is a stage one political Democrat of the highest order. Is this your king? Karen Bass. Is this your queen? Hey man, look, that's one of the most frustrating things. These are political dope fiends. That's what they are. 100% full stop. They are completely adherent to the Overton window. This is why this time around, people, citizens, Black people, Latino people have a different stomach for the city of Chicago. When you go 1 hour north of Chicago, 1 hour south of Chicago, 1 hour west of Chicago, 1 hour east of Chicago, all of that turns red. Quiet as it's kept, Illinois, technically by way of its social standing, is a conservative state. It is a red state. The reason why it is seen as a blue state is because of the politicians. When Sanctuary City, let me step back. So what happens is by Illinois being a winner-take-all state, when the vote comes in, when people vote, they're telling the delegates of that respective city which way they should vote and how they should vote. Certain wards in the city of Chicago give more preferential treatment to their delegates of votes. Albeit 80% of the state is voting red, if the delegates feel it should be a democratic conversation, when they drop the ticket in the box, it's blue. There's a reason why in Chicago and Illinois, there's virtually no Republican presence. That is by design, not by mistake, by far. And as long as Democrats keep talking like these mayors, you're going to vie further and further away from having people return to your party. It's not the millennials you got to be concerned about. We're set in our ways for the most part. It's going to be Gen Z and Gen Alpha. That's who's becoming more Republican than ever. I'm telling you the truth. You don't have to believe me, but Trump sending in the troops to Washington, D.C. to correct the crime issue needs to happen in Chicago, L.A., New York. Even Adams, who tries to straddle the fence, who tries to remain in a lukewarm state. The one thing I'll give that man credit, he's not dumb. He knows how to take a situation and turn it to his benefit. He made sure when he was catching heat and he had some pushback about the illegal immigration, and all of a sudden the investigation came into his cabinet, he definitely knew how to lean into Trump to get that pardon out the way. Yes, he did. And I don't fault that man for it, because let's be honest, if a lot of you were in that same level of heat, you would do the same thing, even if you don't like Trump. If you can get that pardon, you're going to take that W. Because I've yet to meet a person that likes single target damage. I've yet to meet one. People don't even like getting shots. And when I say shots, I mean with the needle. I don't mean with that. But to me, this is a good move on Trump's behalf. We need to have this type of nerve in the government. We used to have it, and we lost our nerve. And now that he has the nerve to do it, and he doesn't adhere to the Overton window, for Trump, it's Occam's razor. It's a simple solution. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Why is that difficult to understand? This kind of stuff infuriates me. It's stuff like this as to why I left the Democratic Party. Oh, I also forgot to mention something. In 2023, working its way up towards the election, there's a political activist group by the name of Chicago Flips Red, who, by the way, I do support. They spearheaded overturning sanctuary city status in Chicago. This was something when the vote took place. This is what really pissed off a lot of Black people and a lot of brown people in Chicago, because they didn't fully understand how sanctuary city status actually works, because it was never really an issue up until this point, until the illegal immigrants came into the city of Chicago. Well, originally, it did not become an actual law for the city of Chicago until 2006. It was known as the Welcoming City Ordinance. Then it was stretched to the state of Illinois under what is known as the Trust Act. So what the citizens found out when they voted to overturn sanctuary city status, the mayor and the delegates and the law officials of the particular cabinet had to vote to overturn it. Before, they thought it was a case where they can just go to the Capitol in Springfield, Illinois, speak to the House, speak to Congress, and then they would vote on the removal of sanctuary city status. No, it has to be the aldermen, which is another thing that makes the state and city so corrupt. What that means is, if you have a business in Chicago, and let's say you want to add ambiance to your business, and you want to put a patio in the street to have people eat next to your restaurant in the closed off section of the street, you normally have to lobby your alderman and probably pay him a certain amount of dollars, and then the alderman says yay or nay. He doesn't have to run it up through a coding commission and do all these other things. Because a lot of the times in Chicago, the alderman is also the or a member of the coding commission. So he's 2-in-1. That's very typical in Chicago. People found out in order to get sanctuary city status removed in Chicago, they had to ask the mayor and the alderman to remove it. And when they took the vote, and Mayor Johnson voted to keep sanctuary city status intact. Yes, he did. The vote was so chaotic, there were aldermen that physically held the door or stood in the door so certain aldermen couldn't vote who they knew wanted to remove sanctuary city status. When people found out this was the way sanctuary city status works in order for it to be removed, it pissed Black people and Latino people off something fierce. It revealed Johnson's hand. Brandon let people know he's an establishment Democrat through and through. Yes, he is. And he knows if you remove sanctuary city status in Chicago, the dominoes will come tumbling down. You will see a Republican presence in Chicago. Absolutely. Because people are tired of this.